Welcome back. Want to just do a quick video kind of comparing suppressor versus muzzle brake with point of impact shift, if there's any sort of velocity change, and just kind of what I think about running them in certain situations. Done some testing recently with the new Garmin and with some factory ammo, just kind of comparing a few different things, but typically I don't run a suppressor. So as I was bouncing back and forth between the two, I thought it would just be kind of interesting to show, that point of impact shift. I'll have the chronograph run, so if there is a velocity difference, we'd be able to see, and then if it affects accuracy at all. So I'll do it on 3 different barrels. I will do it on my 6GT. It's a 1 1/4. It's a straight taper barrel. 26 inches long, so very heavy. And then I'll also do it on my 22-250, which is just another steel barrel. It's MTU contour, so pretty common in competitions, PRS, stuff like that. Then lastly, I'll do it on my new 25 Creed barrel, which is a proof research carbon fiber. So kind of gives you 3 pretty drastically different weighted barrels to see if the suppressor affects one more than the other. Suppressor weighs quite a bit, so will it affect that lighter carbon fiber barrel more than the straight taper barrel? So kind of interested to find out, but I'll be running a Silencer Co. hybrid brake. So they're pretty big, pretty heavy. I do have the cold tack, their HTP, I think it's the high temperature protection cover on it, which is nice. But with all of that on it, it comes out to 1 pound, just under 1 pound, 9 ounces. So pretty heavy. In comparison, here's the muzzle brake I'll be running on the 22-250. It's just an EC tuner brake, their Gen 1 or their PRS model. And that one, as is, weighs 7 ounces. So pretty drastic different weight-wise, and that's where you get that point of impact shift. But I am interested to see if the suppressor is going to add any velocity to any of these calibers. And then again, just briefly wanted to kind of touch on my thoughts of using both of them. So I shoot matches with people that use brakes. I shoot matches with people that use suppressors. I personally do not use a suppressor. I would use it if I was hunting, and that's about it. As you can see, pretty drastic size difference here. So the first thing that comes to mind for me for competition shooting, and again, this is more PRS style, it's getting in and out of barricades, right? If you're on top of the barricade and just moving from position to position, not a problem. If it's something where you're having to slide that gun in and out, not only are you paying attention to the scope bell, but your muzzle as well. So, this is adding quite a bit of length to what might already be a longer barrel. With that being said, and this being shorter and a little bit easier to maneuver, I prefer them because the recoil reduction is just better. And let's be real, you're going to be wearing earplugs at a match anyway, because not everyone is shooting suppressed. So that's why I prefer to run the brake myself. But essentially what we'll do here is we're just going to head to the range. I will zero with the muzzle brake on. So all 3 calibers will be zeroed with their muzzle brake. And then at that point, just going to shoot a 5-round group. And then we will throw the suppressor on, leave it zeroed for the muzzle brake to see that point of impact shift. Again, run everything with the chronograph to see if the suppressor gives us a little bit more velocity, or less, I guess, for that matter. But just to see the velocity difference, point of impact shift, things like that. And then just to see if they affect accuracy. So 3 different loads we'll be shooting. The 22-250 is just straight factory ammo. It's 150 grain VMAX. The 25 Creedmoor, it is hand loaded, but I'm in the process of breaking the barrel in, so I haven't done any sort of load development. Just threw some mild loads together to get some rounds down the barrel. Still interested to see if it affects accuracy. The 6GT, those will be my match loads, so those are what I shoot in competition. I did load those with the muzzle brake, so I don't shoot it suppressed. I shoot the EC tuner brake on that one as well. So all load development was done with that. So I'm curious to see if throwing the suppressor on is going to affect the accuracy or group size or anything like that. So with that being said, we'll head to the range. Hopefully have a live view feed of the target, and then me shooting, and we'll kind of just run through all 3 calibers, and that should be about it. So if you're someone that's maybe newer to the sport and interested in getting into some competition, not sure if you should run a muzzle brake suppressor, you could ask 10 different people and get 10 different answers. So this is 100% just my opinion and why I prefer muzzle brakes. I shoot with some really good shooters that run suppressors in every match. So to each their own. Do your own research and what you think you'll like, but just wanted to show possibly the differences if you were to switch back and forth from one to the other. So we'll head out to the range and we'll go from there. Thank you. Starting off with the 22-250 with the muzzle brake. Moving on to the suppressor. And now the GT with muzzle brake. And now suppressed. .25 Creed with brake. And lastly, 25 Creed suppressed. The Garmin did not pick up the first shot, which is the first shot it has not picked up for me in probably close to 500 rounds. All right, had to shoot these tests on 2 different days. Got snowed out before we could finish the last group the first day, but nonetheless, we are back from the range. So as you can see, definite point of impact shift with the 22-250. Not super major point of impact was the center of that bottom circle there. Did bump the velocity up, looks like about 14 feet per second. That was factory ammo, so I'm not sure how accurate the velocity is if I would continue shooting with a larger sample size. Does look like it shrunk the group up vertically at least a little bit, so no complaints there. Moving on to the GT, did speed it up a little bit again, about 8 feet per second. Those SDs on the top group, that 10.8 was higher than I would like to see, but nonetheless grouped well. That was the thickest, the heaviest barrel. That's the straight taper, so a little bit less impact shift there than there was with the 22-250, which again is that MTU contour or proof Sendero. Again, very popular in the competition shooting world. And then finally, the 25 Creed. So this was the proof research carbon fiber barrel. Not that the group was great to start with on the top. It's just fire form and some brass and breaking in a new barrel. But I do think it opened up there on the bottom. The fifth shot, as you saw in the video, is actually just below the paper. So a pretty big vertical spread there on the bottom. Did speed it up just slightly, about 5 feet per second. But, you know, as I thought, with that carbon fiber barrel being so light and that suppressor being so heavy, obvious, huge point of impact shift there. So again, point of aim was the center of the bottom circle on the right. You know, pushed it all the way down to the bottom, and the last one all the way off the paper. So again, this was kind of just showing, you know, the point of impact shift, if there's velocity shifts, if it does affect the group size. I don't think the groups were affected too much on the first two. I do think it opened up with the last one with the 25 Creed there. You know, so just gave you kind of a different view of factory ammo with the 22-250, you know, some completed hand loads with the 6GT, and then 25 Creed is hand loaded ammo. But again, I was just doing a barrel break-in, so just threw a light load together. Had not done any testing. This was actually my first day shooting the barrel. So that is about it. You know, not one right choice versus the other. Again, maybe just give a newer shooter looking to get into some competitions, or maybe interested in getting a suppressor, just some insights to help them make that decision. So again, I do shoot muzzle brakes for competitions. I would only shoot a suppressor if I was hunting, but as always, to each their own. You know, do your own research, make your own decision. You can't go wrong either way. But if you do have any questions, feel free to throw them down in the chat. Otherwise, we will see you guys next time. Thank you.